Can this grow box actually yield me 6 to 8 ounces like they claim? Well, today we're going to go over a little bit on the vegging cycle, how I use this, some things I ran into, and some tips that can help you potentially get to that 6 to 8 Z's. Stay tuned.
Like we always do about this time.
Welcome to CLtv. My name is Rob, and if you like things about herb, well, this is the channel for you. If you're a subscriber here already, I really appreciate you. If you're not, definitely hit that subscribe button and the notification bell next to it if you want to be notified whenever we drop videos, which is every week, sometimes twice a week. So growing the Hey Abby has been a pretty good experience, honestly, so far. Deep water culture is something I haven't done in quite a long time, and getting back into it has been honestly pretty cool. Now overall, when it comes to using something like a grow box, I feel like my biggest complaint, and most people's biggest complaint, is the constraints.
Yeah.
Now when you're dealing with deep water culture, you're oftentimes going to have a lot faster vegging. Those roots don't have a medium to work through, and they're going to be able to explode when they're directly into the water and having food directly available for them. Now the downside with being in a container that's smaller is, well, that rapid growth can be a hindrance because it's going to be compact and constrained into a small container. Now training of course can help, and working that plant properly is major, but when you're in a situation where you have walls and a ceiling that are extremely limited,
get creative.
Now when I first started growing with the Hey Abby, I really took that into consideration. Now in particular, I'm growing the Georgia pie, and I know you want to see plants.
Let's see him then, let's see him.
But YouTube, their TOS is pretty strict. Some channels get away with it. For some reason, this channel does not. So if you want to be able to check these plants out, make sure you follow me on my personal Instagram page, which is right over in this general vicinity. Now normally in my first time growing a cultivar, I'm gonna let it grow the way it wants to see basically the natural characteristics that it's gonna show as it grows. But in this situation, growing in a smaller container, knowing that I'm gonna have restrictions in terms of the size, I had to get right to it. So low stress training was the first thing I did, and I started this around 3 weeks into vegging. Now I started with a clone, of course, that was decent size, so I was able to bend this and work this through. If you've been following me over on Instagram, you've been able to see the progress as it's slowly but surely bushed out and gotten wider and wider. And what looks like I've got 8 to 12 tops, those all came from low stress training. So it really does show the difference between topping and low stress training. And if you're not sure about either of those, we do have videos on CLtv that cover that to the T and show plants. So make sure you're signed in and you're of age. Now as we were going through veg, I noticed one thing that was definitely an issue, and a lot of people I feel like in the chat area didn't realize this, was the pH. Now the nutrients provided by Hey Abby are not ones that are going to be balancing your pH or regulating your pH. You're gonna have to make sure you're on top of this. Whether you have your own meter or you're getting one of Hey Abby's meters, it's extremely important. I saw plants that were in the same age as mine that were looking like clones still. And that's because the plants weren't properly taking up the nutrients. That's because the pH was incorrect. So one big thing I feel like needs to be addressed and stressed in the Hey Abby app is making sure that you're dialing in that pH. Now if you're buying water from the store, which I think is not the move, then in that case you usually may not have to deal with it as much. But if you're getting something out of a filter at home, potentially you may still have to dial in that pH. And if you don't, you will run into stunning your growth, yellowy kind of lime green plants, and overall not the yield that you're going to be trying to get, and potentially not the quality either. Now once you get to the point where your plant is growing large enough, they do provide a trellis net. And honestly, this trellis net is almost pointless. It's just a little too small. And I appreciate you guys sending it out and it being in there and you thinking about that for trellis or scrogging, but it needs to go to wall. The magnets that they provide are really cool in there, really versatile and work well. But the size overall of that net was just comically too small.
That guy in a little coat.
So as we were pushing week 4, I noticed that the plant was starting to get a little bit too bushy. And as we're flipping into flower, it's definitely important to make sure that we're dialing in some of that defoliation. And we want to make sure that we have enough light penetrating that canopy overall so those bud sites can be hit and we're getting all these colas and overall the bud that we're expecting to get. Now without that, you may run into situations for larvae, just less developed flower, sometimes immature flower, because they didn't have the light penetrating the plant like it needed to. Now there's the lollipopping technique, there's overall just defold, there's swazing, there's a lot of different things that people use in the garden that have cool nicknames. Overall, this is defoliation. Now of course that technique is important, and we do have videos here on CLtv that cover that to the T, so make sure you subscribe if you're not already. In my experience of growing, I've seen when flipping into flower almost a 50% to 100% growth. And that can definitely be startling, especially in a small constricted container. So I decided week 5 is time to flip into flower. And in here, it's literally as easy as following the app and choosing go to flower.
It's all waiting at the click of a button.
Now speaking of settings, the app has got a lot more settings than I realized. And if let's say your plant's getting too large, you can put it in a safe mode to avoid burning your plants, which that's massive for a lot of people. There's also a lot of great features that you can get with the app that you don't have to pay that monthly subscription for, that are really valuable for new growers and even growers that are experienced like myself. To get those reminders on a regular basis, it's amazing. Reminders for changing your water, reminders for training, reminders for being a little too faded and leaving that door open.
Shut the damn door.
I think those are very big, unique elements that set this apart from a lot of other grow boxes and a lot of other automated systems overall. So again, if you want to see this plant, I know it's a bummer, you're going to be mad in the comment section.
I'm sorry.
I gotta be able to survive. I gotta be able to get through the TOS. So check me out over on Instagram. You can see the plant up to date, everything that's been going on. And for the last video, I'll put out a start to finish, and you can see the entire plant over here. It will be age restricted. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is.
That's censorship.
But that's just the way it is. So if you want to get the Hey Abby, use the link below in the description or go to watchcltv.com/HeyAbby. And we don't get anything extra for you getting it, but I know there's been a lot of people looking for it, and I've seen people getting the wrong model. The one I'm using in particular, that's the one for the link. If there's some other products that you want me to check out and other ones you'd like me to test and kind of see my opinion as a little bit more experienced grower, drop in the comment section. Let me know. With that being said, I'm Rob from CLtv. Stay lifted. Peace. Growers who are looking for that secret sauce usually are just missing something from their garden. And to help with that, we bring you the Stash Blend Premium Plant Additive. Stash Blend brings beneficial bacteria, silicon, seaweed, humic acid, and has enough macronutrition to help lower the dosages of your base feed too. Unleash your plant's true potential with Stash Blend Premium Plant Additive. Available at Growers House.